When you work with client-specific or project-specific specs, you often have to change some of the terminology to conform with the client standards. This may mean a change in the long description versus the one that comes with the standard catalogue. Or perhaps you have to add more information that's populated into the catalogue. We never want to make these changes in our master catalogue, so instead we'll make them in the spec. I'll show you what I mean. So from your desktop, we're going to come to Exercise Files, and we want to go to our Property Overrides folder and look for our LinkedIn spec. So I'm going to come down to our piping. I'm going to open that up. Now take a look at what you see. We've already filtered this out for the sizes, but we manually added the CS material in here. And it only applies to just those components that we actually manually added it to. So now let's delete this. So I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to remove it from the spec. Now I'm going to add it back in, but this time I'm going to apply some overrides to that. So I'm going to come down to our ASME we're in our valves catalog. Let's go into our pipes and fittings. We're going to filter for piping. And I'm going to filter long description. And I'm going to look for our pipe seamless plain end from the ASME B3610. Now, I'm going to highlight this piping here. So under material, now notice there's no material added here. There's no material code. And we don't have anything listed in the schedule. These are fields that aren't filled in the catalog. So what I'm going to do for material, I'm going to add in carbon steel. For a material code, I'm going to do ASTM B3610. And for our schedule, we'll do SCHED 40. Now I'm going to apply these property overrides. Now I want to watch what happens here. Bearing in mind there's nothing in the catalog. If I highlight this component now and add that to the spec, let's go and look edit parts. So look at what's happened. We actually have added the material in here. We have the material code. We have the material with the carbon steel. So that information was added. It still doesn't exist in the catalog. It only applied to the components that we added to that particular spec. So now we can go ahead and filter again. So I'm going to take out all the parts that we don't actually use. So we're going to take this from 1 inch. I'm going to take out the 1.25 inch. We'll leave half, take 3, 3.5, and we'll take 5. Now you notice I didn't use my filters on this one. So it's gone ahead and added all the components all the way up to 60 inch. So this is why it's important to look at the filters before you add them to your spec. So I'm just going to take them all out here. We're going to go up to 12 inch. But I want you to look that the information that we added was applied to every single component in this piping list. Now I want to watch what happens when I remove these from the spec. We're going to only go up to 12 inch. I'm going to say apply. Now we have just the standard list of sizes that we've been using in our spec so far. Now I'm going to just uncheck the hide parts. And notice that even though that carbon steel, the material and the material code were added to every single component that we added, as soon as we hid them from the spec or effectively removed them from the spec, any of the property overrides that we used went with it. So that information was removed from that line item with the size. So I'm going to just check that off and say these are good enough. We're going to apply that and we're going to say OK. So being able to override the properties gives us the ability to make bulk changes to the component at the spec level, and that lets us leave our catalog untouched. This also gives us the ability to use a single set of catalogs for multiple projects and clients. This is very important because now we only have to manage a single set of catalogs, which means that any changes and additions to the standard catalogs are only made once.